Hey guys, welcome to my Geek Rant. So today I'm going to be talking about the Book 4 review for Legend of Korra. It's also going to be kind of an overall review of the Legend of Korra series. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the big thing everyone's talking about right now, and that's the... Oh, by the way, before I start talking, this is basically a spoiler review, so if you don't want to be spoiled on anything Legend of Korra related, I suggest leaving this video right now and coming back later. But yes, the big thing people are talking about, I'm about to talk spoilers right now. Are you still here? You should not be here because I'm talking spoilers. Okay, so the big thing that everybody's talking right now is the Asami and the Korra thing. Here's the way I feel about that. There's a lot going on with that. My first initial reaction was like, cool, they're together. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense because that came out of nowhere. But then you think about it and you're like, well, actually, no, they did establish that Korra was only writing to Asami while she was, gone for 3 years. So that does show they had a close bond together, and now they're getting closer. closer. But the fact that they ended the entire series on that relationship, I thought was a mistake because it didn't really amount to anything, not in the same way. I even kind of disagree with the Katara Aang relationship. I always thought that was forced, and I thought Katara could have or should have been with Zuko, but that's a whole nother video, a whole different thing. But for them to end it off on, the Katara Aang love thing was okay. But for this, it seemed a little bit forced because we didn't, while we did get some hints of them perhaps being an item, it wouldn't work even if they, and we don't even know definitively if they are a couple. I mean, basically what happens in the show, and you guys have seen it if you guys are here, they do a very close-up of them holding hands. In filmmaking terminology, punching into a close-up, especially of some people holding hands, indicates that there's some sort of love beyond platonic love going on. So that definitely, I think, showcased that what was going on. But I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't go full out. They didn't really say, hey, they're together. They left it kind of ambiguous, and because of that ambiguity, I kind of lost respect for the artistry of it, I guess. I think they should have either gone all the way or just left that out entirely, which, I mean, even from both ways, even if they did show that they, I don't know, they shared a kiss or something that was more definitive, I still don't think it would have been a successful love story because it came out of nowhere. It was just one scene that they actually were like, oh, we like each other maybe, and I don't know, it didn't work for me. And what they did end up doing was too ambiguous, where you didn't know if they really were together or if they're just being really good friends or what's going on. So I don't know, that didn't really work for me. But now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna get to the regular review of what I thought about the series finale. So overall, I'm probably gonna come off being a little bit negative. I do enjoy the series as a whole. I do enjoy the characters. I do enjoy the action scenes and the story for the most part. But the series finale was a little bit underwhelming, and I'm gonna explain why it was underwhelming to me. And you can, agree with me or not, or, this is what it is. It's a discussion. We're going to talk about this. So, first off, what's the first thing I want to talk about? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is, I guess, the sacrifices that were made in this show, or the things that didn't happen. The only person to actually die in this series finale was one person, and that was Hiroshi, who is Asami's father. He had a little redemption story, coming back from prison and all that kind of stuff. But I thought that was a little, it was kind of shoehorned in, and we don't really care enough about that character. I mean, it was nice, they did it very well, but we didn't care enough about that character for that to be very impactful. But what we did have that would be extremely impactful was Mako's, potential sacrifice. And the way they were building that up, Bolin was there and he's like, I know you're awesome. You don't have to do this awesome thing. You don't have to blow yourself up in this machine. And then Mako, he wanted to do it. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to kill him. And the way it was going, I was like, that would be epic if they do that. I felt like within the episode, someone needed to sacrifice himself for there to be meaning. Because everybody kind of survives. It kind of dilutes the stakes that are presented, and if we know they're always going to make it out, then there's no stakes at all. There's nothing that's going on. Now, I know in the Last Airbender, like, you know, most everybody basically survived. But it was a little bit different in that because it's really about Aang's journey, like becoming a man and becoming comfortable with himself, I guess. But with this, I felt like there needed to be something, and when they were setting that up for Mako's death, I was like, oh, that's gonna be epic. Like, you know, he's gonna sacrifice himself. That's gonna be a huge arc for him, you know. And they just kind of like didn't let it happen. They had Bolin save him, typically, and then, you know, they got off, and I thought that was kind of lame. And also, I was disappointed with Kuvira. Like, the way they set her up, she was this strong character with strong convictions, and I felt that, like the other villains in the series, she had a pretty good point, you know, more or less. She was the only person around to defend the Earth Nation, and for people to come in like 3 years later and say, no, stop what you're doing, it's like, no, like, Sue, I told you that if we need to help the Earth Nation, why aren't you helping? And she had to do it on her own, you know. They just had, you know, their empire broke apart, they needed to rebuild, and no one was helping her, and Korra was gone, dealing, like, finding herself and everything like that. And then Kuvira, she had a good point. She's like, I want to defend my country. I want to unite us. We never have been united for however long, and I just want to help my people. And that's what she wanted to do. Even at the end of the episode, she was telling not Katara, I keep messing that up. Korra, she was telling her, if you guys just would have surrendered, this would be perfect. You know, I mean, she did go too far. You know, she definitely had her killing the cat moments where, you know, she shot at her would-be husband and all that kind of stuff. So that's good. I mean, like, that's what Toph was saying, is that each villain had an issue with balance because they went too far of an extreme. Just like with Zahir, he wanted to take away world leaders and, you know, have kind of like an anarchy kind of freedom, like everybody's free in this world. But he took it to an extreme, you know, he like was killing world leaders, you know, and just like out of nowhere. And then we had Unalaq, who wanted to have some balance between the spirit world and the physical world, and, you know, that's not bad at all. But the way he went about it, he brought back Vatu and all this bad spirity stuff, and that was terrible. He went to the far extreme. Amon, he wanted to be an equalist, though a little bit different for him because he actually was, you know, a waterbender. He just wanted power for power's sake. But still, like, his main message was that everyone needs to be equal. Like, there's non-benders and benders. But again, he went to an extreme, you know, on a whole different level. And yeah, and for them to take that away from Kuvira, for her just to like apologize so easily and just say like, oh, it's because I was like tortured as a kid and like I blah blah blah. You know, like, I thought she should have stuck to her guns. Like, she should have maybe died or something or something, but she should have stuck to her principles, to her viewpoints, that she saved her empire and no one else helped. That's it, you know. And instead of her like coming out and letting people arrest her and be like, oh, I'm sorry for what I did and all the anguish I caused you, no, like, stand up for what you said, back it up, be a villain, and stick with it, you know. Like, what happened to villains, you know? Like, be a villain. Like Zahir, he's probably my favorite villain of the series, Zahir or Amon, because Zahir, when Korra came back to see him, he was still like the same guy, you know. He was like, I'm bound to change, but you know, whatever, like, I'm still that same guy. I don't apologize for what I was doing before. And that's great. That's what a villain needs to do. They have to be unapologetic and just go for it. But yeah, so I was disappointed with that. But with that same regard, I like this series because I feel like it tapped in deeper to morality. While the original Last Airbender series, it definitely was an overarching thing, and it had very distinct villains. They were a little bit one-sided, you know. They were just getting power for power's sake. Ozai was just going for power's sake, while the Korra villains had some sort of foundation to the reasons for wanting power, and they had pretty good reasons some of the times. And I thought that particular thing with Korra was done better than it was in Last Airbender. So I give credit for that in terms of the Korra series. I don't totally hate the series. I don't hate the series at all. Actually, I enjoy it very much. I just don't think it's as great as the previous series. I think the characters are better, and The Last Airbender, I think the overall story and the journey within The Last Airbender was better. But yeah, Korra is a very solid show. It had easily the best fight scenes of anything. I know people usually don't give credit to action scenes, but I think their action scenes spoke more to the characters than some of the action scenes in Last Airbender, which was more plot driven, but I felt like the best fight, of course, was Ozai versus Aang. That was a good representation of character, and even Zuko versus Azula in the last book, that was really good. But more often than not, it's mostly plot driven. But I feel like the fight scenes had character in the Korra series, and also they were just really well done. I also like the kind of growth they gave to Korra, although I don't like how Kuvira kind of crumpled under her resolve or whatever. It was great that Korra could empathize with someone, because before she had a very hard time empathizing. She always just attack without any forethought, and now ever since she's been poisoned, she's kind of been humbled, and she could take that in now, and I think from this point forward she could be a much better avatar than she was before. And I felt that was also a good thing for what they've done for Korra, is to give her that foundation to be able to be compassionate for someone else and see herself in other people, which is very important with empathy, is that you have to see yourself in other people so that you can help them grow and all that stuff. So I thought they did that very well. Of course, the comedy in Korra was very good. I love Bolin, the prince, even though I thought he was annoying at first, was actually very funny. Of course, Julie and Varric, they were hilarious in the show. And even some of the bending, I think some of the bending was really cool, like lava bending was really awesome, and we got to see more metal bending, of course, and got to see Toph again. I do feel like we did miss some of the stuff with General Iroh and Zuko, or just the Fire Nation in general. We didn't really get to see much of, but generally, overall, in terms of the whole scope of the series, I think it's a solid series. My favorite book would probably be book 3. I think the book 3 finale was actually better than the whole series finale, in my opinion. I felt like where we landed with Korra was actually like really deep, like her being crippled and everything was great. But yeah, I think that's all I have for my geek rant. I might have missed something. Oh yeah, I did want to mention about going back to Asami and Korra. I guess it's because I already have a context of a really good relationship between same-sex couples. I don't know if you guys have ever played Last of Us, but there is a DLC called Left Behind between 2 female characters, and I felt like that relationship in that game was probably the best love story I've ever seen, and irrelevant to it being a same-sex couple, but the fact that it was just about 2 people who cared about each other, and one of them is leaving, and when that person's about to leave, they they come together. Just, I felt like that story was done so well. I guess I was kind of comparing that to this, which was so quick, and I felt it was a little bit of a gimmick just to say like, hey, these guys are gonna get together, versus them actually coming together. Like, they didn't really establish that throughout the series. Like, they did put hints in, but they didn't really get it. So I've been really associated with this series that really nailed it for me, and since this didn't really nail it in the same way, and I felt like it was a little bit, the ambiguity I felt makes me lose respect for it. I guess it doesn't really work out for me, but that's it. I'm gonna stop ranting. This was actually probably my most ranty geek rant of all. I usually actually have a little bit more structure, but this one was like a legit rant. But that's it, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends. Peace.
This singular moment, this was the dark side of the Force. It was pure, and it was powerful. Unlimited.
Do I like it? Do I not like it? Oh, I actually kind of like it. Oh my god, I like airbending a lot. Oh god, I like it.